Hey, pass me a beer.
Look, at least promise me you won't drink. Alcohol always leads to trouble.
Hey, who wants to play Drink the Beer?
Right here.
You win.
All right, what do I win?
Another beer.
Just have a cup of coffee.
Beer it is.
Coffee?
Beer.
I'd kill for a beer.
Cheap beer and a sympathetic ear. Step right up.
Ready.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Beer and Hops Podcast. I am, of course, your host, Adam. And not in the frozen tundra, but actually, right, I could hold his hand.
We're so close.
He's right here. He's in my house. OMG. He is here. Chad, what's up, man?
How's it going, man? Good to see you. Good to be here.
Yes.
We've got another special one.
We do have another special one. If you didn't see our last episode was a very special one.
Yes, probably the specialist of all.
The specialist, the most specialist, the most specialist. We did the last episode. We did CBS, Founders CBS, and we compared it to Founders KBS. So if you guys haven't heard that one, definitely go check that one out. But today, Chad, what do we have?
We have another whale beer on this camera here. We have Russian River's Pliny the Elder, also known as Gaius Plinus Secundus.
Well, bless you. Okay, well, hey. I don't really know what to say after that. This is so yeah. Pliny the Elder is named after the dude named Pliny the Elder, and what was it? Something hops. What was it? Like
Founder of
the hops.
Founder of hops.
Yeah, it's to believe the founder of or discoverer of hops.
He invented them.
Right, he invented them. With his own hands. He made the hops. Yeah.
Yeah, back in this gentleman lived back in like the early 20s.
Really long. He's like a long time ago.
Not like the 1920s, but like 20.
Long.
Like 23 AD.
Long time ago.
To 70 something AD.
He's one old bitch. 23 AD, yes, in Como, Italy. He died August 25th, 79 AD. All right. Well, I don't really care too much about him. I care more about his beer. So this beer is from Russian River, as we kind of already stated. And if you listen to, I want to say episode 5, I want to say.
Yeah, I think you're right.
We talked about Pliny because on episode 5, we actually reviewed Bell's Two-Hearted Ale. And the reason that's important, right there. The reason that's important is because for 8 years, Pliny the Elder was voted, I guess, as the top beer in the country by Zmergy. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, it's something like that. Easy for you to say.
It's the Home Brewing Association's magazine.
Right. Yes.
And so the Homebrew Association puts out a survey every year to their subscribers asking for the top-rated beer in the country. And for 8 years running, it had always been Pliny. This year was the first year Pliny got upset, and it got upset by Two-Hearted.
Yes, so Pliny fell to number 2. And we thought it would be interesting today, since we were able to snag a bottle of Pliny the Elder, thanks to my very good friend Mike Bullock.
Thanks, Mike.
Out in the Baltimore, Maryland area. He was nice enough to bring me a bottle. We met up in Florida, so he's in Maryland. I live in Wisconsin. We meet up in Florida to get. I just went down to Florida just to get the bottle of Pliny the Elder.
Well, okay, sort of.
There may have been some other work and fun stuff related there, but yeah. So thank you to Mike. Super appreciate the offer to give us a bottle. I'm really looking forward to giving this a try. I'm not an IPA guy per se. I do like some. I don't like some.
Yep.
This one is known as being probably the most balanced IPA out there. So
that's what they tell us.
That's what they say. So we're going to see if we can figure that out today.
Yeah. And there's something else I was going to say, and I have no idea now.
Well, what about Russian River? So they're in California, right?
Santa Rosa,
and you've been there.
I've been there. I've been to their tap room, or their restaurant or whatever.
Yeah.
Great food.
Yeah.
Long lines. Hot.
Long lines just to get in no matter what, or long lines always to get Pliny?
I mean, I went, and it wasn't like a release or anything, because they have Pliny the Elder all the time. They have Pliny the Younger, which was actually just released, I think, yesterday, I want to say.
Yeah, I was going to say yesterday or today.
Yeah, it was one of those.
So it's kind of interesting we're doing this podcast.
Well, we can't get Pliny the Younger,
Right.
so we have no shot of getting that.
Right.
But yes, Pliny the Youngers are more, I think, more limited release. The Elder, though, I mean, I guess, yeah, there's always a line there. I mean, I've been there twice now, I think.
Yeah.
And there's always a line to get in to get a seat to have dinner. You can always walk up, and usually there's two lines. There's a line to get in and eat. There's another line of people just walking in to buy.
Yeah.
So if you're walking in to buy, you can get in quicker, to buy a T-shirt, buy a case of Pliny or something.
Okay,
like
so when you go there, it's not just going in and buying, sitting at the bar and buying it on draft, which you can do, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you can do.
But you can also walk into their tap room, buy however it's sold, 6-pack, 12-pack,
12, I think it is,
whatever, and walk out with it. And
if they have it, yep. And they usually limit it to 2 cases.
Okay.
At least when I went, that was a couple of years ago. 2012, I think it was. When I was there, and they limited it to 2 cases. I will say though, they have some excellent food.
Yeah,
the food is really good. Yeah, it was very, very good food. So, but yeah, it's a really cool spot. Now, the one thing that we kind of talked about before the show is how Pliny has very limited distribution. I mean, they're just distributed in California, Oregon, Washington, and then Philadelphia, which I assume is how your buddy got it.
Actually, he got it from the brewery.
Oh, he went Santa Rosa.
And he brought it home.
So they have a very limited, and I was reading an article about it on their marketing, which they have very little to no marketing. And they said that they've thought about increasing production of Pliny, but according to the co-owner, the wife, it would cost them more. So it'd be more costly for them to do it, and it would be a lot more work. And I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds a little excuse-ish, but there is a thing called, I just learned this term today, scarcity marketing. And that's kind of where they're coming from, I think.
Yeah.
With this particular beer being, in quotes, a case study of scarcity marketing.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a whale because it's hard to get a hold of. You need to be pretty much there. Even if you're in California around the Bay Area, which is where Santa Rosa is, you really can't go to a store. It's very, very hard to go into a store and get a bottle of this. So.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead? I mean, even the bottle there, if you can show it again, the bottle is scarce. You know what I mean? It's a very plain bottle.
Yeah, there's. I mean, it's a very simple green. Let me make sure I got this. Is it in focus? Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. So it's a pint. 1 pint.
Yeah.
So smaller than the 750 ml. Larger bottles that some of these whales are
right.
bottled in, but pint bottle, brown bottle, very simple label.
What's it say on the label? Read some of that off because I can't read it from.
Respect your elder. Keep cold. Drink fresh. Do not age! With an exclamation
Yeah,
point.
age.
Do not age. Which we talked a little bit about on an episode recently about aging IPAs and the fact that it's not really.
I think that was the Hop Slam because
the Hop Slam.
Somebody had said they aged it.
Yeah. Pliny the Elder is a historical figure. Don't make the beer inside this bottle one. So drink it.
Yeah. Don't age it.
Oh, there's even more. This is not a barley wine. Do not age. Age your cheese, not your Pliny.
I'm getting a hint of something. They want us to not do something here. I'm not sure I'm catching it, but there's something.
Respect hops. Consume fresh. What else does it say? Does not improve with age. Hoppy beers are not meant to be aged. Keep away from heat. If you must, sit on eggs, not on Pliny. Do not save for a rainy day. Pliny is for savoring, not for saving. Consume Pliny fresh or not at all.
Wow.
We need to open this up.
Right? So
drink this thing.
Well, go ahead and crack it. because we don't want to age it really apparently at all, more than it's already been aged apparently.
Yeah, it's probably no good.
So Pliny is 8% ABV, and it is 100 IBUs. I know you're concerned about that.
Yeah,
Chad.
it makes me a little bit nervous. I did recently pour out a beer called Hop Stupid from Lagunitas that was 106. But they say this one is better balanced than pretty much any IPA out there. I'm going to save just a little bit in the bottom there for Jake.
Yeah, if you're watching on the video on YouTube, you'll see the blue person right there on the screen. That's Jake. We're saving his spot. He's supposed to be joining us at some time here.
So I didn't move the camera to video the pour, but essentially started off on the side and then tipped the glass up to get a little more aggressive with the pour to give a nice head, release some of that carbonation for the aroma, and to keep us from burping so much.
Oh, come on. There we go. Stick your nose in there. Gee, I wonder what that smell is.
Yeah. Smells hoppy, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of, a little bit.
What is this? Does it say the hops on there? Like what kind of? Does that mention what kind of hops it is? I can't remember. I know I saw it somewhere, but now I can't remember if it's like a Citra or if it's Centennial. Brewed 100% Centennial. No, that's too hard. Damn it. I got too much on my screen.
I don't see anything on the bottle that mentions anything.
That's all right.
Well, it's an American double / Imperial IPA. So that's actually kind of interesting. It's an 8%, but considered an Imperial. Yeah.
Well, I think like we've talked about recently, the terms have a sliding scale. Apparently, it's kind of loosey-goosey.
Somewhat loose, yes.
Yeah.
Loosey goosey.
Loosey goosey. Oh, I just found somebody has a recipe on how to make this. Look at that. All right, so yeah, it's a light in color like you would assume, with an IPA. It's cloudy, but it's not hazy at all. The head is definitely lacing the side of the glass.
Yeah. Yep, it falls. I mean, it does some lacing. It falls fairly quickly. Bubbles with some swirl.
It's hoppy.
Did you sip yet?
Nope, I'm going to go. Yeah, does that taste like 100 to you?
Not at all what I was expecting.
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought. I did not when I took that, I let it sit on my tongue for a little longer. Just kind of held it in my mouth and swallowed. And I don't doesn't seem like 100 IBU to me. Now you just recently had the 106 one. If you can remember, do a comparison there. I mean, was the 106 like just drastically drastically bitter than what you're tasting now?
Yeah. I couldn't. I took one drink and I dumped it. I couldn't drink it.
Yeah. So I've had this, like I said, I had this in 2012, and I mean, before we got this bottle, I was telling Chad I'd like to get it again because I honestly didn't remember what it tasted like.
Yeah.
I did see that my score, I rated it when I was in the tap room of 4.5, which surprised me because for an IPA, now, this many years later, I wouldn't give an IPA that high of a rating. So I was looking forward to trying it again because I just didn't remember what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to give it a 4.5.
Yeah,
I need a couple more sips before I land on a rate though.
I've had 2 sips. My first impression is going to be a 3.75. It's good. I would I'll drink it again. It's nowhere near. I mean, the Hop Stupid that I had, to me was undrinkable. This is, well, I don't know what other word to use other than balanced. I mean,
Right. I mean, that's what everybody said about it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Hop Stupid is what you had before, right? I'm
Yes.
just going to look it up real quick.
Yep.
Yeah, Lagunitas Imperial Double, 8%,
So,
102 IBUs.
okay, I thought it was 106, but 102. So
Yeah, I mean,
nearly identical.
Nearly, yeah. It's very
stats,
close
but-
to this.
I wonder if what the hops are probably different in the Hop Stupid.
This what I see here doesn't tell me. Yeah, it doesn't tell me. It doesn't say here. So, yeah. But so what we plan on doing today, and we actually didn't. We didn't do what we do on every show. We didn't go how the show works. Son of a bitch.
Well, at some point,
Come on.
I mean,
That's right.
people kind of know.
Yeah, no, go back
I mean-
and listen to another episode. So yeah, I'm going to say I'm with you. 3.75. I would even go with 3.8, but you can't do that on tap. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, 3.75. We're gonna keep drinking this, but what we're also gonna do is we're gonna try some Two Hearted Ale.
Yeah, I mean, this was since Two Hearted just took over the top spot according to the most recent homebrewers poll. We thought it would be interesting to drink one right next to the other to see if we can give a really balanced, our balanced opinion, which doesn't really mean anything to anybody except ourselves. But
Well, also we just episode 5 we did a full show basically review of Two Hearted, and it was our first time at that point having Two Hearted, and so because Two Hearted took over Pliny, we just thought it'd be interesting to do a side by side. We did this in our last episode with CBS and KBS, not really to pit them against each other, but to, as tasters, to be able to taste these two beers and see where the differences lie. And in this case, it is kind of a competition, right? Because one overtook the other, and so when it comes right down to it, though, if you look at going to the stats, we said Pliny is 8 ABV with 100 IBU. Two Hearted is a 7 ABV with 55 IBU. So
yeah, and I feel like
that's a half.
Yeah, and I actually, from what I remembered, and we're going to drink another one alongside this, is the Two Hearted seemed more bitter than the Pliny that we just sampled. And we'll take just a second here and introduce a special guest who just joined us again.
Welcome.
Welcome back to the
Thanks for showing
Welcome
up.
back to the show. Jake is here again.
Yeah, well, I was trying to make up for not being able to burp, so I thought I'd show up late. And
So right there in the Boulevard glass there is the Pliny the Elder.
Okay. Have
We
you guys
we've
done
already
your initial-
we already drank it and gave our initial. We're gonna save that. We're gonna let you
Okay.
do your initial, and then we'll compare notes.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about we're gonna be moving on to Two Hearted here in a second. So not moving on, but doing a.
Was there anything, any background, any big hits you guys knew about with Pliny that you found out researching this one? I don't know a lot about it. I just know that.
Yeah. So it is based off of. Not a scholar. He was a person.
He was just a person who discovered hops.
He's
what we've been
believed to
able
be the guy who
deduce.
discovered hops. Prior to him, hops were grown in the wild,
Oh.
and he was one of the first ones to discover them.
Oh, well, that is cool.
And I
Yeah.
guess according to this other article, there is that it was actually his son or something. Nephew,
I think.
who is Pliny the Younger, which
Hence
is
the other.
been released yesterday.
Wait, so the actual name was Pliny the Elder?
That's what they
That's-
referred to him as.
That's what they referred. He was born Gaius Plinus Secundus.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
Secundus.
Well, and not to make you repeat yourself, but what year are we talking? Is that
23
80.
AD to 79 AD.
all right?
So
It was his nephew that apparently made him famous.
2000,
made him well known.
2000-ish, 1900 years
Chad,
ago.
is this your first Pliny?
First Pliny, yes.
I know you've had Pliny.
Yeah, but I was just talking to it was 2012. I really didn't remember. I was looking forward to having this.
Yeah.
He, of course, was nervous because it's 100 IBUs, and he had just poured out the Lagunitas that was 102 IBUs. He didn't even take a sip. He took one sip and didn't like it.
Can I hear Chad say Lagunitas?
Yeah.
I don't know where that stands currently.
Lagunitas.
Lagunitas.
So, when's the last time you had this?
So it was probably 3 years ago, so maybe 2015.
Okay.
Actually, a gentleman I'm still working with, my boss, he goes to California quite a bit. His wife has some family out there, and they love going to wine country.
Yep.
But he also likes trying craft beer, so he had brought me back a Pliny. And it was, and that was at the time that I was really into IPAs, so I thought it was fantastic.
Now, have you had Two Hearted?
I have had Two Hearted, but both of these beers, I had before I was ever on Untapped, so I have not rated
them.
neither one.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So, Chad, just for Jake's purposes, I wish you would have been here when because he was. Well, go ahead. Tell him what you were expecting and what happened when you took your.
Okay,
your
so I was expecting because of my experience with the 102 IBU Hop Stupid and the drain pour. I was expecting, even though I knew ahead of time that Pliny is considered a very balanced beer, I still was expecting. I was nervous that it was going to be like way over the top hoppy,
like his previous Lagunitas.
like the
Lagunitas.
Yeah. So my first sip was, wow.
I feel like you need to be in a commercial for them. Lagunitas. Yeah.
Because I can't pronounce their name correctly.
Yeah,
Well,
you need to be a commercial for them because you can't pronounce them.
And I remember this from Pliny. Like, it has sort of that traditional, heavy double IPA taste up front, but it doesn't it doesn't hang in there like a punch in the mouth.
No,
right? It's not that punchy, puckery bitterness of some.
Yeah. It's not.
Some you're just like sucking face for a few minutes.
Exactly.
It's not like that.
No, yeah.
I wonder where the 100 IBU actually comes from, because if you go to their website, they don't give an IBU on their website. It just says bitterness high.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they give the original gravity, the ABV, the color, and then bitterness is just considered high.
Yeah, so like on Rate Beer listed as 100, Untapped listed as 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I'm sorry, who found this beer? How did you guys get to Pliny?
My friend Mike Bullock.
Did he bring it back?
He had it last time he was in California. Came home with a couple cases of it and had one left. I told him that we were looking for it, and he said he's got one. And I met up with him in Florida last weekend. He brought it. So he's from Maryland. We both go to Florida just to get a bottle of Pliny.
Nice.
I was there for other reasons, but
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, we met up last Sunday down in Florida, and if I haven't said Florida enough,
Florida?
we were down in Florida.
Hey, Florida Tourism, why don't you sponsor?
And I brought it back just to do the podcast and sample some Pliny for the first time. I'm actually wishing that I could drink the whole pint, that we weren't splitting a pint, because it's much better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's
So did you guys already mention what was released yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, with the younger.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Pliny the Younger was released yesterday.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of ironic that we're recording this podcast today, and they had just released.
And I have not had Pliny the Younger.
No, I haven't either. I mean, that's even harder, from my understanding, to get than Elder.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Elder, you can really go to Russian River any time of the year and get Elder, but Younger you cannot.
Yeah.
So it's very, very limited.
So we just poured a glass of Two Hearted, and one of the things we wanted to do with this show, I think we should do it right off the bat, is do a comparison between the two.
Well, what are you rating it, Jake?
Yeah, what's your initial impression on the Pliny? Since you haven't rated it in the past.
Well,
we're not going to tell you our rating yet. We don't want to bias you.
so I would say that it's interesting. I don't know if anybody from Untapped is listening, but if you're not, you should start following this. I think the interesting thing is like I'm getting to this point with rating beer where am I rating it to all beers, which is kind of what I feel like when you're just putting in an overall Untapped rating, or am I rating it to other beers within the same category?
For me personally, I rate an IPA to another IPA, not against other beers. And I also don't rate against other, like the worldwide average.
What do you mean by the worldwide average?
So if you look at Untapped for Pliny, whatever the...
Oh, okay.
I
don't even know. So, don't even tell me.
Yeah, so Beer Advocate...
Don't even tell me.
Beer Advocate has it's rated well.
Okay.
Okay. So my own rating doesn't... I'm not going to let that number affect what my rating for the beer is. But I don't... The only way I know I can do it is to compare it to another IPA. Or the IPA category, I should say, for me personally.
I mean, I'm right now off the top of my head, I'm thinking 4.25 to a 4.5. I'm sort of somewhere in that area.
Okay.
I think it's interesting because I don't know that I would still say that CBS that we tried on the last episode was quite a bit better. Mm-hmm. But like, is it worth rating a stout to an IPA? I don't know. Compared to other IPAs I've had, I think this is very, very, very good.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think what sets it apart, and it was interesting, was I think IPAs that are better now are the ones that have a way of sort of disseminating that heavy flavor. Like you still get the IPA flavor, but it doesn't just sit there. Like the Hop Slam.
Right, you just tried that today.
Yeah, I just tried that today, and I was really impressed because like you get the flavor up front, but then it just kind of smooths out into this sort of citrusy flavor.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sit there as like that heavy. The way that IPAs were when I first started is it was almost like the heavier that was, the longer that lasted.
And it just stayed.
And it just stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the way I broke into it. But over time, I'm not as apt to enjoy those. So I think I really like Pliny, but maybe the IPAs are going that way. What do I got on here? Oh, a sticker?
You got a sticker on your throat.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Okay. Before the episode, I was playing. I have a couple kiddos. They're a little bit younger. I thought I got them all because I had them all over my face. We were shooting Nerf weapons. Yeah, we were having fun.
I was looking at it like, I don't remember him having a tattoo.
I'm just accessorizing. That's my little heart tattoo right
all of a
there.
sudden you got the
I'll show you the one on my cheek later.
All right, that's another podcast.
Now, so we both.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah, that's our After Dark podcast. We both
now
rated
After
3.75.
Hours. Okay, well, I mean, like I said, I think where I'm in this weird place with Untapped right now, where I really like it, but it's like, are you comparing it to other IPAs or other beers?
See, and I think that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I think not everybody, but I think answers will be different per person because, like we've talked about before. Everybody uses Untapped for different reasons, right? Like I don't use Untapped to be some beer rating guy. I use Untapped to track my likes.
Right, and when the next time you go to buy beer, if you look at something like, oh, have I had this? I don't know if I've had it. You can look it up. You know where it falls on your scale.
And to keep me from buying the beers I didn't like.
Right.
Well, and I think it's a great app just to have discussion about beers with your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, it's much easier for me to say, oh, hey, you like that beer? What'd you like about that beer? Toast to you. It makes beer drinking and trying new beers a little bit more social.
Mm-hmm.
Making beer social.
Yeah. Not that I needed, alcohol was already making me social.
All right. So, the one thing I will notice having these two beers sitting side by side in the glass, color.
Mm-hmm.
The
Too Hard is darker.
Yeah, Too Hard is darker for sure.
Slightly, yeah.
And it looks a little bit more lively as far as...
Yeah, there is more going on in the glass.
Yeah, it's livelier. The head on Too Hard for sure is thicker.
For sure. Thicker and just lasting longer.
I mean, yeah, like that's been like that for a while here since sitting in my glass.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
it's
we poured these before. Did we?
That hasn't moved.
No.
It's its finger, right? I mean, it's like puffy, cloudy.
Hmm? It's an opaque. It's you can't see through it. The Pliny, you can almost see through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
I wouldn't call that copper though. They call it copper on the website. That's kind of a gold color to me. The Two Hearted's copper.
Yeah, they call Pliny copper?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's do the comparison. Drink it.
Yeah. So.
Oh, so Two Hearted was, am I correct? Is that a 55 IBU?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's half. Actually, I was just saying that when you walked in. So Pliny's 100. Two Hearted's 55.
Does it taste like it's double to you?
Drink.
The Pliny?
No, I just tried.
Oh, you did just drink the Two Hearted? I
Yeah,
didn't see
I
it.
just drank. Does that taste double to you, Chad?
No. Well,
So you're saying it doesn't taste like the Pliny's double the bitterness of Two Hearted, is what you're saying?
And maybe that's just a testament to Pliny. While it has that level of IBU, it's just got a lot of smooth, consistent flavor, and that's just what makes it great. I don't know, but it doesn't taste double to me. I mean, the biggest difference that you already noted when I look at these two beers is the head and the color. That feels like a bigger difference than the IBU.
Yeah, I wanted to clear my palate here and try Two Hearted again.
okay. So which hops were used in Pliny? Was it Centennial?
Yeah.
I don't understand then. I don't get these two beers.
Explain yourself, sir.
Well, they're both brewed with Centennial hops.
Now is Two Hearted strictly Centennial?
100% Centennial hops.
Really? Okay, now that is interesting.
So I mean, obviously there's other. I mean, there you can change things with malts and
right. So
some
the malt
some
bill can be
fruits
completely
and
different,
whatever yeast they're using. There's differences, but they taste very, very not taste. They taste different, but the bitterness.
There
Nice. Bitterness. Hops,
I don't know if I'm gonna burp at all this episode.
and I mean they should taste the same as from a hops perspective, being that they're brewed with the same hops.
Well,
but I don't get where one is 100 and one's 55.
So
that would be the amount of hops used. And when you put the hops in the boil, will determine aroma and bitterness.
Yep.
Okay, but
So they you could use the same hop, but if I use twice as many hops, it's going to be a different flavor profile than if I use half the hops.
So am I correct in seeing here that there is also a double Two Hearted out there?
Oh, is there? I didn't actually.
It's looking like with a 91 IBU. I don't see a picture of the label.
91. Did you say?
Right, so 55 to 91.
That may be a better comparison, but I mean the reason we're comparing these is because Two Hearted overtook Pliny
Right.
in the. Really? That's so unprofessional. What the
Wow.
hell is your problem?
I'm going to go out and come back in.
start the show over.
So Chad, you're saying that because it's a drastic flavor difference?
No,
Is that,
no.
I think he's saying it's
It's
not
very
that
similar.
different.
oh, okay.
I just very quickly went one right to them, went Pliny right to Two Hearted, and I can taste a difference, but to me they're very similar, and that's where I'm struggling with the difference in IBU rating.
Yeah.
I can't argue it. I mean, that's what, and the number is the number.
The difference in IBU has to do with the amount of hops we're talking. And when
right, but I can't taste it. I can't.
No.
I can't taste
It doesn't
it.
taste
It
like
doesn't
a
taste
double.
that different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
difference.
And we also don't know what other type of adjuncts they used. Maybe Two Hearted used some type of a sweeter, a honey or not, or something else in there, not just smash a ton of hops.
Mm-hmm.
And the grain, I think it's obvious the grains are a little bit different because the colors are so different.
Yeah.
And that definitely makes it different. And really, another thing that makes can make a large difference is the yeast strain that's used, which a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people can.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. A lot of times the yeast strain that you use will drastically change your flavor. So
they're really a different color.
Yeah, and I was wondering, is it just because this is so low in the glass? But I don't think so. I mean, because you can see on this one, or it's darker up, but it gets thinner down here. But this glass is the same pretty much the whole way down.
So if you look at they're a little closer in the bottom. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're looking through more beer on the wider part of that glass, but so I just went back and looked at my rating for Two Hearted, and I forgot what I rated it. And I gave the initial impression of Pliny at a 3.75. That's exactly what I rated Two Hearted.
Yep, I remember that. I remember you gave it that.
I mean, I feel like I'm being pretty consistent there because between these two beers, I don't notice a huge difference.
In IBU.
What
about an overall enjoyment?
Overall beer experience. Yeah.
If we did a blind taste test, would you know the difference?
I don't know. I mean, I've had Two Hearted quite a bit in the last couple weeks. So I had a buddy that brought a 6-pack of it to after hours event at the show I was at in Florida last week, and I feel like I could probably pretty easily pick out Two Hearted. I don't know if I could with Pliny because I've only had.
Did you guys mention they're in a
pint yet.
trademark dispute with a smaller brewery in North Carolina?
Pliny is Russian?
Or not Pliny, Bell's is.
Oh yeah, that was in the news. Yeah,
that Innovation Brewing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Bell's is going to lose that.
They did. That's what this article is saying.
Yeah.
They're saying they lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they lost the Two Hearted Ale trademark, or would they?
No, it's their whatever they're saying. They're
Yeah, it's like the words that they use, like inspired brewing,
yeah.
Bottling innovation since
motto
1985.
Yeah.
They tried to go after them, saying it was part of their trademark, and they lost that. But their contention is it's causing confusion among customers. But Bell's is quite a bit bigger than this. This is saying Bell's produced 463,000 barrels of craft beer last year and distributed that to 32 states, compared to this microbrewery that they were in this legal dispute with that produced 1,200 barrels.
Yeah.
And only distributes to the local area there in North Carolina.
Well, obviously it's so confusing.
So now you got Bell's, who's supposed to be the little guy, is taking out even a littler guy. There's always a bigger fish.
Always a bigger fish.
So we talked a little bit about Russian River and where they're at. How long have they been around? Do we know? 2000, something like that? Are they?
Yeah, and Adam, I'm sure you talked. When was the last time you were there?
2012.
2012.
Yep. 2012 is when I was there.
Did they have a big facility?
It's the same as it is now. I mean, I was at the brew pub, not at the brew house. So, because the brew pub is in downtown Santa Rosa, California, the brewery itself is just outside.
Okay.
So,
So you were downtown.
In Santa Rosa, yeah.
Yeah.
But Chad was asking, it's pretty much always it's better than last time.
It's still
better.
not.
It's not impressive at all, but it's still better.
No.
There's always a line there. Always. Unless you're like the first to get there when they open the doors. Always a line. Their food is fantastic. Very, very good food. You can get Pliny the Elder pretty much all the time. Sometimes, but they do limit you to like 2 cases.
Well, and we were talking on the food aspect. You guys were telling me how good the food was at Revolution, and we started getting in. I hate you guys. We started getting into the conversation about how it seems to be right now if you want to be competitive, at least at a certain size, if you're big enough to have a kitchen and have that staff, that you got to start having some food. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's not just with the pairing, it's just to attract a larger base, because now somebody can go that likes drinking beer and bring their friend, their girlfriend, whoever it is. Hey, grab some dinner there while we're there. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just seems like that's how you have to compete.
I think it's a good business model for.
But it's got to increase your costs quite a bit, especially if you're aiming to have good food.
Well, I mean, a lot of these smaller breweries, the only way to get their beer in people's hands is to have a tap room, right? But then, and a lot of, like, especially around us, the smaller breweries like Only Child, like Tighthead,
right?
They're order in, so you can order food to be delivered to the breweries for you the tap room for you to eat. But then
that's got to be because they're too small, right?
They're just too small, and the cost. I mean, the cost of starting up a brewery is insane. But you add on top of that a restaurant,
right?
Like 2 hard businesses to even start, and you're going to do it in one shot,
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's almost like a progression. They're going to start with the tap room, and as they grow, they would bring in the food.
But it's almost to the point, if you were entering the market now, if you were home brewing and you wanted to start your own place, that there's a good chance in your business model you got to kind of plan for, am I going to add food here? Or do something like, not to plug them again like we did in Sessions, but to do something like Door County Brewing, where they really don't have food, but what they did do in their plan was they have spots for food trucks. Right. But you almost have to think about that now if you're planning this out.
Yeah. Well, because you want people to come to your brewery and sit there for a while, right?
Right.
Then what happens is like what happened to us last night when we were at Goose.
Mm-hmm. We get hungry.
We sat there for a while, and then you're like, I should really probably eat something before I get 5-6 beers deep.
Especially when you started off. What'd you start with? Like a Scotch barrel?
Well, no, yeah, that was.
That was
the wine barrel aged one. It was the 13
Brasserie Noir. Yeah,
13 IB,
Cabernet.
We need food
Cabernet
sooner or later after that.
We didn't ease into it. We didn't. Hey, we'll start with a 5. No, we're gonna go with 13.
Yeah, you just went in there and you're like, give me your strongest beer.
The only reason I picked it last night at Goose is because I just seen them tweet that beer is going to be available in bottles soon. So I was like, oh, cool. I want to try it. So that's what brought it to mind. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you want them to be in your brewery and you want them to stay there and try more of your beers, right?
So chances are you guys may not have moved if they had food.
I don't think we would have.
No, yeah, we had a great spot. If we could have had food there, I would have just stuck around and kept drinking.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
So really what you guys need to be is like beer consultants, where you go out, they pay for you to sit there and drink for a night, and then you tell them what they need to do.
If you will pay me to drink for any time period at all.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anybody out there listening that just has to have somebody consult.
Yeah. Now, you were asking about Russian River history. This is actually very interesting. I didn't know this. So Russian River Brewing Company was created in 1997 when Corbel Champagne.
I just saw this.
Yeah, when Corbel's champagne sellers decided they wanted to try their hands at brewing.
So I love this connection because Corbel they don't make the best brandy, but brandy is my favorite booze, and that just kind of makes me like Russian River a little bit more. Just even though they're not a part of Corbel anymore,
right?
But the fact that they were started by them, that's pretty cool.
So the brewer Vinny Caruso, I think is how you pronounce that. He was hired as the brewmaster. And then what was it? 90. Well, then they started doing sour beers. Yeah. They would age the beer in wine. Then Corbel quit the brewing business and sold it to Caruso and his wife in 2002, and they're the ones that currently own it now. So that's interesting. They were owned by Corbel.
Yeah. Started by Corbel, yeah.
Yeah, started by
It's
Corbel.
pretty cool, too. They're like, hey, you know what? Let's just go out and make some badass beer.
I mean,
there's a connection to Dogfish Head, too.
There is? What is it? Tell us, please.
In addition to the 20-barrel brew pub, Russian River also has a 50-barrel production brewery originally from Dogfish Head Brewery.
So the equipment came from?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Huh. All right. That's not uncommon, too, for breweries. Like, as they grow, they'll sell their smaller stuff off. I mean, make some more money back. Wow. That's cool. I had no idea about that lineage.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I mean, Russian River, their beers have won quite a few awards. Dating back to like '96, Great American Beer Festival. They had an Ingles Extra Special Bitter that won. So looks like almost every year they win.
It looks like the people that run the company now took over Russian River from Korbel.
Yeah.
In 2002.
I said that.
Yeah.
Did you say that? So I'm just going to say that again in case
Well,
anybody missed it.
It was their brewmaster that Korbel hired. The brewmaster bought the business from Korbel.
And it's him, now him and his wife still run it today.
Yeah.
And so what am I seeing now? That they're building a new facility in Windsor?
I saw something on their
And
website about the Windsor location.
Is it a brew house or is it a tap room thing or what?
I'm trying to figure that out, but they're saying it's a $30 million project that will be part of Disneyland.
What?
And it's basically saying here that while there's some, statistics and feelings in the industry that craft beers, shrinking or at least has plateaued in growth, that they're just kicking ass. Russian River, that is. Yeah, I can't quite figure out, is that like, the adults drop their kids off and then head on over there?
What was it a couple episodes
Pleasure
ago?
Island?
There was a brewery building on, like in Disneyland. I can't remember what it was. It was smaller. It was a
Disneyland or World?
Land in
I've never been
California. I know. I didn't ask you that. We talked. I don't give a shit whether you've been there or not, Chad. Jeez. No, but there.
I can't talk about it. I've never been there.
I can't speak to that. I've never been there. All right, Chad. We can go to hell right now.
No, keep going. Keep going.
Well, there's a brewery we talked about a couple episodes ago that they're actually
Yes,
gonna
I
be
do.
like
Yeah.
downtown Disney there, but it wasn't Russian, so that is interesting.
I'm assuming they only take Disney bucks. So what did you guys rate
guy,
to?
you're-
That would have made my Disney trip a whole lot better if I had a lot more beer than. Yeah. I'm so happy my kids have no desire to go back to Disney. No. What did we rate? What? Which one?
Two Hearted?
I gave it a
I
3.75.
think I gave it a 4.
So you rated it the same, Chad, as
Yeah,
Pliny.
and that was without remembering. I didn't remember what I rated Two Hearted.
And Adam, you rated it better than Pliny.
I think I'm going to look right now.
Yeah, but his first rating of Pliny was much higher. So your average out is going to come up a little bit.
Yeah, so my first rating of Pliny, but I was at
Yeah, and there's a
Russian
there's a-
River.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were hammered.
Well, that is possible on that day, because that was like our third brewery that we visited that day in California.
You know what? I remember you telling me that story now.
Yeah, and it's very possible. But the hype around being, like we've talked about, being there and the environment in which you're in will affect your rating. And this is before I really was into craft beers. Like, I wasn't
Beer.
beer.
Coffee.
Yeah, I rated that 4.
Ear.
Dan gave a Two Hearted a 3.5. Oh, Dan.
A what? A 2.5? Oh, 3.5.
Dallas Dan?
Let's see. It looks like on the picture. It's a Dan M is drinking Two Hearted Out by Bell's. Nope, that's not that Dan.
Oh.
That ain't him. Sorry, Dan.
I don't apologize.
I'm halfway through my Pliny pour.
Pliny pour.
Pliny pour.
But we'll say, no, go ahead, finish your.
I'm more harsh on IPAs than I am other beer styles because I'm not a big
Yeah,
IPA
you're kind of a
guy.
dick.
I drink them, but I'm kind of a dick towards IPAs. So yeah, I'm not going to move it up any. I'll stick with a 3.75.
Which one do you
at this
like?
point.
Like now that you have them side by side, what do you like better?
I almost like them both the same. If I had to pick one, I'll pick Pliny just because I just can't get it. I mean, I can go to the liquor store any day of the week and get Two Hearted.
Right.
So I like it, but I will say out of these two, I would prefer to drink Pliny.
So
I don't know that I like it better, but I would prefer it.
So let's talk about that for a second, though, because like we talked about earlier, for 8 years running, Russian River Pliny the Elder that's so forced. Like it's like there's puke behind it. Like you can't.
There is.
I can't not giggle when he burps now.
You know what? Okay, let me just say, you guys tell the truth. I mean, we had like an intermission. Right?
Yeah.
And I was ripping off some pretty good burps.
Well, I mean,
so it really doesn't count if it's not recorded. So.
I hear you. Clearly, I've got some sort of
mic fright.
Do you think I could go talk to somebody? Do you think if I said to them, like, I'm having trouble burping into the mic?
Right.
I'm sure there's somebody out there that
they'll
will
take
listen
your
to
money.
you. Yeah.
Whether that's a hubby or not, I don't know.
Somebody will listen to you.
Yeah. It won't be us, though. So for 8 years running, Pliny has been voted number 1 beer in America. Now Two Hearted comes in and takes the mantle, right? But now we're drinking these, and we're both, and Chad, you and I do agree with you. They're so similar in flavor when you're drinking them side by side.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can think of a lot of different reasons why Bell's would have taken over, but I just wanted to see what are you guys' thoughts? Now that you're drinking them side by side, do you, Jake? We'll start with you. Do you first think Bell's is the better beer?
I think they're both very good IPAs because they have flavor. I think Pliny's better. I'm probably going to settle on a 4 to 4.25 for Pliny and a 3.75 to probably a 3.75 for Two Hearted.
Yeah.
I think.
Now, do you think there's just more flavor with the Pliny, or
yes, I do. Yeah, I think Bell's. The more I have it, it's still very smooth for an IPA, but I just do not think it has as much flavor. So I'm leaning towards Pliny.
Now, total curveball here, not nothing to do with this, but because you just had the Hop Slam today, if you throw that one in the mix of those three?
I gotta say, I was very impressed with the Hop Slam, and
that's what I'm talking about, Jake. Right there. That.
I don't know what's wrong with me.
Come on.
I don't know. I'm just gonna turn around and fart into this thing.
Hey, well,
because
we
I got
could start a fart counter if you
some
wanted.
noise than what I've been doing.
I got something brewing here too. I'd probably.
I'll tell you though, it's funny. Like from a visual aspect, you would, if I didn't know what the two beers were and you just poured them into two glasses, I would think that Two Hearted is the higher quality beer. I mean, when I look, it's got a little bit darker color to it. What appears to be just a little bit more substance. I still see a little bit of the head. I still see a little bit of the what was the name?
Lacing.
The lacing. Yeah. I don't see any of that really with Pliny.
No. Yeah, that's what I was saying. When we first poured it, do a swirl, and the lacing fell very quickly. It was there, but it falls quickly. The Two Hearted, I mean,
it's there.
That's
that lacing. Even on mine, it's still sticking around.
Yeah, it's stuck.
But yeah, I mean, especially now going back from Two Hearted to Pliny, I think Pliny has more flavor. But you line those up blind taste tests, I will tell you every time which one Pliny is.
Now throwing in the Hop Slam though.
Yeah, the Hop Slam. As I was saying earlier, off air, I previously the only beer I could think of that used a lot of orange was the one that came to mind was Blue Moon,
right?
And that's not a beer I'm not saying it's a bad beer, but it's never been a beer that I particularly liked. But that Hop Slam was damn good. It was damn good. I would probably throw the Hop Slam right here with Two Hearted and just a little bit behind Pliny. That's where it rates for me.
I like Hop Slam quite a bit better than both of these.
I do too, and I think I gave the Hop Slam a 4.
Actually, I don't even know how I rated it, but I've had I bought the 6-pack of Hop Slam, and I've had.
But isn't that kind of funny? Like now you got to go back, right, and be like, well, I can't rate these higher than Hop Slam, right?
I know, right? I mean, just because I had that little, we split a can of Hop Slam today.
Yeah.
And to me, the Hop Slam is just, I don't know. I like the honey part of it. drives down
the honey.
the
It wasn't. Yeah, it was honey.
yeah the honey drives down the bitterness of it for me, and it just makes it more drinkable.
The honey paired well with an IPA.
Yeah,
really
that's
did.
that hop slam was really good.
That was a good idea.
So,
Thoroughly
but I
enjoyed that
do
one.
think. Yeah.
But back to your question earlier, Adam. Why did one overtake the other? I think it's distribution.
Well, that's what
I mean, if Pliny
Yeah.
had pushed national distribution harder or at all, they might be riding number one for
so
the next
here
5 years.
we actually mentioned this earlier before you got here, but they were asked about this.
Yeah.
They were asked about their distribution, and they're actually, it was featured in a marketing magazine, and they called it scarcity marketing, because Russian River doesn't do hardly anything. They have a blog that they barely post once a week on. They have a Facebook page that they barely post once a week on their Facebook page. Their marketing is very, very slim. And then they have this. Go ahead. Oh, my gosh.
You know what? I sound like
I saw him.
I'm like
I'm
a
watching him like work it out.
I'm like a baby raptor. Like
horrible. But Pliny.
Jack, come burp me. Just come give me a little. I need some help.
That was horrible. But Pliny is so limited. Russian River only distributes to California, Oregon, Washington State, and then Philadelphia. Whereas Bell's is how many?
32.
I think 32.
states.
It said 32 states
Yeah.
when I was looking at that article comparing them to that.
Now,
that legal stuff.
When
North
Russian
Carolina.
River, the wife, the co-owner, was asked about why don't you bump up production and widen distribution, she made the comments that it would be, let's see, what was it? They considered making more beer, but that would be taking on more debt, stress, and work. Which I just was like,
See, that's kind of a shit answer.
that's exactly
I would have
Sounds a
been
little
a
exclusive.
lot happier if she said that would in some way take
Diminish
away
from-
from the
Yeah.
exactly, like the soul of the beer or being a small beer or the size of
Right.
like we just don't want to be that. To say that it's too much work, like,
that's like, wait, you're lazy, right? You just said you're lazy as shit right there. Like,
yeah,
what? It's too much work?
yeah, and it's already
taking
so
on more debt. What are we're talking
Just
about?
got a $30 million deal in Windsor. You don't think there's not investors that would basically pay to do all the work for you?
When we're talking about taking on more debt in the realm of ingredients. So I don't know, but that to answer
Wow.
so when we were talking about, since you brought that up, I wanted to tell you that. So
That's a scarcity answer for that scarcity market.
Right.
What a bunch of shit.
So I would agree that Bell's has the hand up when it comes to distribution, but it's been like that. It's not like all of a sudden Bell's surpassed Pliny in distribution.
Right.
Bell's has
but
been out distributing Pliny for several years, and so what
Yeah.
happened with years 6, 7, and 8 that Pliny was number one and Bell's wasn't? That's where I can't figure out. And now that I've had them both side by side, and to what you said, Chad, they taste very much similar.
Yeah, to me, I mean,
So what you're saying is, Adam, sorry, Chad, I just want to make clear. What you're saying is they've had a distribution edge for a while. So you don't think that that's the reason.
No,
you think that there's just legitimately more people that think it's better.
Well, I think my thought comes down to two things. Partly, yes, distribution, because I think number one, the magazine base, the home brewing association, the number of people since Pliny's been number one for the past 8 years, the number of subscribers has grown because home brewing's become much bigger, craft beer has become much bigger. So there's more people voting now, right, in a wider base. That would be my guess. I have no stats to back that up. I'm just throwing that out my ass. But more people voting, more people can get a hold of Bell's than they can get a hold of Pliny. Yes, that's for sure true. And I don't know that very many people have done what we've done right now.
Because I can't have an opinion on something I can't get.
Right. But
Or it's easy to forget something that I can't get.
or that's true. or it's people saying the mystique and the fame of Pliny, I'm going to vote for that. I may not have had it, but everybody tells me that's the shit.
Well, and that's a great point. Are people voting for Pliny because
they know the,
which is the conversation we had on the last podcast? Are we enhancing our experience of partly of CBS because we know?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Right. So if somebody a week ago would have said, "Hey, what do you think the greatest barrel-aged stout is?" Would I have said CBS? I would not have, because I would just be like, I haven't had that. What I have had, here's what I would say, right? But I have no doubt that there are many beer people out there to be like, well, I mean, Pliny is obviously the best IPA. And so I'm not saying I don't know that's what was done on these lists, but the other point that I would say...
But that's what her answer was for why they hadn't expanded. Because it's somehow to do with the integrity of what they wanted to do, and not it's too much work.
Well, that's what she should have answered.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not what she said.
Because I think you can have that discussion all day. Like, is better distribution, a greater good for everybody, or do I want to maintain the integrity?
Right.
I think that's a fair discussion you can have all day. But to say that it's too much work.
It may not even really be a discussion. It may be just their opinion that that's how they want to do it, and that's all.
Yeah. But if you would have asked me the same question that I'm talking about right now,
then say it's the mystique and we want to keep it. Then say that.
But I don't know that they want to say that. You know what I mean? They don't want to give it to that. I understand what you're saying. I totally agree with you. But for whatever reason, they don't want to.
I learned about politics through sports players. Okay, like I need to know their opinions because that's how I base my opinion.
If you would have asked me, a couple hours ago, why I thought Bell's was beating Pliny this year, what I would have said is because the waning interest now in IPAs. You have 100 IBU and you went down to a 55 IBU, so people are not wanting as bitter beers. But now that I've had them, I don't taste that big of a bitter difference.
That's where I'm struggling.
That's what I, because before we started recording this, I'm like, that's why I think it's going to happen. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be like, okay, yes, 100, okay, 50. I taste that difference, but I can't taste that difference.
But you are right. IPAs are less popular, right? Do we know that?
Well, they're still number one, but they're kind of on the coming on the other side of the hill.
And they may always be number one, but I think that there are other beers that are just going to get more popular.
People are diversifying their flavors much more.
Everybody's saying either sours or lagers are going to be the next big thing in craft brewing, but I think IPAs are it's a staple of the craft beer industry, so they're always going to be very popular. I would say they're probably always going to be number one or two as far as styles are concerned, but between these two,
I don't taste it. Right now I just did a
I finished.
And I don't see the 50 IBUs where they're coming from, because I don't taste the 50 difference.
Right, I don't see that. But is there one? You said what? You rated Two Hearts 4, right? In Pliny 375. So you like Two Hearts more?
Yeah, even side by side, I like Two Hearted.
So you more flavor?
See, I think because you said Pliny, you thought Pliny had more flavor, right? Yeah. And I think the Two Hearted has more flavor. I think for me when I drink it, there's a little bit more depth to the Two Hearted, whereas I take a drink of the Two Hearted and it lasts a little bit longer and I can taste a little bit more flavor on the back of my tongue, whereas the Pliny, when it's down, is down.
The three of us are going to just totally average this out because I can't taste. I can't taste a noticeable difference between the two. I mean,
so I'm starting to wonder, when I drink a beer, do I just need to drink alone? Because I think you guys are starting to. I'm starting to think about this more.
Getting in your head a little bit.
Yeah, I get it in my head. I mean, I'm already worried about burping, and now I'm thinking about what you're saying.
Well, I think we need to do what we did last episode and have my wife come in and try Pliny.
Try the Pliny.
Yeah, have her come in
Is
here
she
and
out
try
there? I thought I heard her come downstairs. You don't taste any difference.
I can't. If you blindfolded me, just like Jake said, and gave me a taste test, I'm not sure I could tell the difference between the two. Maybe I could, but I feel like I wouldn't be able to.
Okay, because she's sit at yours. Jake's. Yeah, that's fine. So Gina, take a seat on Jake's seat there. And so this is Pliny the Elder.
Oh.
This is a double IPA.
Oh.
Now wait. Before you drink it, do you know the IBU scale and how okay, so the higher number, the hoppier it's, the bitter, the more bitter it's.
What's the IBU?
Okay, so it's 100.
Oh.
So I want you to drink that one. That's what you think. Then the one next to it is the Two Hearted.
Okay.
That is also an IPA, and that is 55 IBU.
You want me to start with 100?
Yes.
This is the one for like years.
That one has been number one for. Wait, should we tell her that? I didn't. I already did. That was number one for 8 years. One in your hand now. This Two Hearted just took it over.
Haven't I had Pliny the Elder before?
It was a long time ago though. It's 2012.
Yeah, you shipped it back, didn't you, or you brought it back? Okay.
Thoughts?
It's good.
See that? Okay, that right there surprises me.
It's
My wife's flavor in beer is
But it doesn't taste like it's 100.
Right.
Exactly.
I was expecting I was expecting something a lot more hoppier.
No,
She was thinking bitter beer face.
All right, now that's the Two Hearted.
Two-Hearted,
Tell us what you
yeah,
think of
okay.
that one. And tell us the differences. You taste the difference.
Wow. It's good too, but
She's gonna drink all your Pliny, Jake.
Save me a sip of Pliny.
I will.
Save him
I
the
will.
back.
Right.
Even that's fine.
Right.
So to put a little more weight on your shoulders here, you are the tiebreaker among all of us.
Oh crap. What's the
Jake
okay.
feels Pliny has more flavor, or a better flavor. Adam feels that Two Hearted has a better flavor. I can't tell a difference between
Jake
the two.
can't tell the difference between them at all.
There's definitely a difference between them.
I can't tell the difference. Jake likes Pliny better.
I like Pliny.
I mean, if you put
Jake's
them
a
up
dumbass
next to
who
each
can't
other,
even
I'd
burp.
be able to tell which one was which because Two Hearted Ale has more color to it.
Yeah, but we're talking about the flavor.
Yeah. Okay, looking at them, yes, I can tell a difference. But
So do you like one or the other?
Pliny has more flavor.
all right. We have a
Pliny has more flavor. Pliny has more flavor.
Now,
It does, but I gotta tell you, I wouldn't guess that Pliny is 100 IBU
No.
and this is only 50.
No, exactly.
Like, I would
You're
not be able
tasting
to
a
tell.
big bitter
No,
difference.
not huge. No,
that's
huge. They do it
exactly-
really
This
well.
is supposed to be double that, basically.
Yeah, they do it
I can't.
really, really
I
well.
can't. The Pliny does. So a few weeks ago, I had one called Hop Stupid, which was a 102. Took one sip, dumped it out.
Oh, I remember you
Yeah.
telling us about that.
This-
Yeah,
that
I would
Pliny-
not have done that
Pliny,
with.
102 is
102 and Pliny's 100, and I
Yeah.
could drink it over and over again.
I don't understand how they do it because I would normally not like something that hoppy, and it's not bad.
And you like Hop Slam too.
I do like
Yeah.
What was Hop Slam, 70?
I think
What
so.
was
Yeah.
that hoppy, Adam? What was that hoppy beer we had at Lakefront? What's their really double? You know what I'm talking about? I think I've seen it in the store sometimes. It's hard to get though.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Hop Jockey.
Hop Jockey.
Oh yeah.
That's a hoppy beer.
Honestly, I'd have to have it again. I don't remember it that well now. We'll have to do that again. Thanks, Gina.
Thank you.
Thanks for the food. She's keeping us fat and fed today. No, that's totally fine. No, that's good.
I can't.
Keep it on my table.
He can't have guacamole.
Why not?
He's allergic.
Allergic to avocado.
Yeah.
It's like a superfood, right?
This is a really exciting podcast talking about.
Well,
Oh, you can edit
here
that.
I thought the only.
Hey,
edit
we're about
that
to
part
work.
out.
I'm not editing shit.
I know. I always say that. I'm like, you just got to edit that. You're
Yeah,
like,
I always
I'm not
say edit
editing
out. I'm not
anything,
editing
dude.
anything. So I like the fact of bringing her in because she's really kind of an unbiased, right? Like she's not a beer person. I mean, she likes beer.
She's better looking than all of us.
by far. But I think that speaks to like, people who aren't
Unbiased.
big beer people.
She's not going to come in here and go, "Oh, we're trying Pliny."
Because she's.
Oh, we're trying
The only
CBS.
reason she knows Pliny is because I had it back in 2012,
Right.
and I've talked to her about it. But she, and in her mind, she's like, I could honestly care less. She's not taken by the
She was
whale.
very nice. She was about ready to finish the Pliny, and then
She stopped.
she stopped. Yeah, she saved me some. I appreciate that.
You really can't taste a difference at all, Chad. Seriously.
No, this is fine. Let him not.
No,
and then-
that's why
and then-
I just want to keep pushing.
Adam's
her to see if
just
there's
just butthurt because right now Pliny's winning.
I don't give a shit whether Pliny's winning or not. I get nothing out of this. Look, you just try to get a good burp over there, sir. All right. You just sit
Listen,
over there
some
in the
things just
corner.
aren't going to happen. Okay.
There is a difference in taste. Obviously, they're different. They're different beers. I just don't see enough of a noticeable difference to me to where I could put them in two red Solo cups and say which one's which. I don't think I could. And maybe my tongue,
do we
palate
know
is just not calibrated enough for IPAs to be able to tell.
Is Two Hearted Bell's biggest seller right now?
I doubt it.
No, there's another one, but I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
What's Bell's big beer?
Big beer.
Oberon's pretty big.
Oh yeah, we need to get that one when it's seasonal though, right? It comes out. I thought it was like a summertime spring.
I don't.
Brr.
Amber Ale. That's probably Amber Ale or the Robust Porter. There's probably That's what I would think would be their two biggest.
So it's time that I own up to something.
Oh boy.
The reason I was
hour or what?
The reason I was late was because I was out driving from store to store looking for bourbon syrup. And I'm not going to go to after this. I'm going to continue my hunt. I'm not going to be able to sleep until I find
So
some.
if you listen to our last episode, our
we
CBS,
got to give some context here because
our
somebody listening to this
CBS
isn't hacking.
You got to get context. Listen to the damn show.
This is IPA. This is an IPA show. What's it got to do with maple syrup?
Our last episode, we tried CBS, Founders CBS, which is aged in
Come back to me, CBS.
bourbon maple
Where are you?
barrels, and it was very, very delicious. Go back and listen to that show to see the
Miss
full
you.
report. But yeah, Jake is trying to find bourbon maple syrup so he can dump it in his beer.
I figure if I drink KBS and maple syrup, bourbon syrup at the same time, and just swoosh my mouth around.
What if you just found any type of stout and dumped some bourbon syrup? You think it would?
I think it would help me sleep. Yeah.
Well,
Get through the
help
night.
me sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, just motorboat it. Yeah.
It's a different podcast as well.
Cool. That's also the After Dark podcast. Golly. Stop mixing the streams.
Wait a minute. What podcast is it?
Don't cross the streams.
I mean, we could talk about. All of our podcasts so far have been listed as explicit. So I mean, talk about whatever you want to talk about.
I mean, yeah, they have,
Whatever I want to talk about.
no, I know. He takes Walmart, but never mind. So, what's your Pliny rating?
I will stick with 3.75 on the Pliny, and
Jake,
I have to because I just can't raise it anymore because I gave Two Hearted 3.75, unknowing rating them the same. But I don't think Pliny to me is any better than Two Hearted. They're both very good. I mean, 3.75 is a very
for you. They're the same beer.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed them the same amount.
Yeah.
And that's not bad. 3.75 is really good for me.
Now, Jake over there, if he would please get his dick out of the Pliny bottle.
No. It's the CBS bottle that it said.
Hey, I'm taking that.
It is soiled.
I'm gonna go with.
What did you say 4.25 earlier? Didn't you say 4.25 or is that?
I'm gonna go with 4.25 on Pliny. My sort of the easy IPA that I can get, that's my favorite, is Anti-Hero.
Yeah. See, that's the
And,
thing. We should really line up IPAs and try them all because I honestly don't remember these flavors all that well now that I'm sitting here to compare. But Anti-Hero is a good one too.
But I'll say this: I'm probably giving Pliny a 0.25 buff because it's hard to get, at least being in Illinois. Because I honestly don't think that it's better than Anti-Hero. I don't think it's worse.
What did you rate Anti-Hero?
4. So
Well, this goes back to the whole thing of the experience of drinking
And not
something.
at all saying that that's bad.
No, yeah,
I mean, that's.
I think it's just a part of it.
Again, like we've always said, your Untapped is your Untapped, and how you determine you're going to rate it is how you rate it. It's not. It's not bad at all. I'm just,
And I don't think that there's. The more I think about it, in my opinion, there's not a problem with rating a beer a little bit higher for its mystique.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if an owner can't properly speak to that marketing, that's their fault. But I don't think there's a problem with that. I think, I will say well done by the brewer. What they created something.
You built this mystique. Yeah.
That's
come on, tell me what brewery wouldn't, give their left.
What brewery wouldn't want to have a beer that people,
are lining up for,
pitchfork and torch for?
Right, and they're completely trading it around the world like CBS. I mean,
yeah, it's well done. So I'm gonna settle at 4.25 for Two Hearted Ale. I got to be honest, I'm gonna drop down to a 3.5, and a 3.5 for me is not a bad rating. It's just what a 3.5 to me says is this is a very good beer, but compared to other good beers, there's nothing setting it apart.
I actually kind of agree with that. I mean,
so that's where I'm going to go with these two, 4.25 and the 3.5.
There are at least two, probably three other IPAs in my Untapped check-in list that are, one's a 5, one's a 4.75, and I like them way better than either of these.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I'm still sticking to the still weak as hell.
I can't not laugh.
Do I need to see a doctor? Like, is there something wrong with me?
Well, there's something wrong with you. I'm sticking with my 3.75 for Pliny.
For Pliny,
yeah.
Are you sticking with your 4 on?
Yeah.
Two Hearted?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and see what I rated Bell's, but because I had Bell's just a little bit ago, you know what I mean? I still like Bell's. I still like Hop Slam better than either of these.
Yeah. No, yeah, Hop Slam I gave a 4, so I do like.
I think Hop Slam is better than Two Hearted.
But the other thing is also, Hop Slam is limited, very limited.
Yep. Just in January, February.
Right. It doesn't have the mystique. See, that's not even good. He tried to rip one in case nobody could hear that. Not even the mice could hear that. Only reason I knew is because he lifted his cheek and tried to amplify, and it just didn't work.
I even have a metal chair and just nothing.
You have a nugget in your.
How come I got the worst chair? Well,
really?
What? I don't deserve anything.
I was going to say, really,
Never mind.
let's not answer that. You don't have to answer that for you.
Answer that question.
But Bell's is limited. Bell's you can't get all the time like you can Two Hearted. Hop Slam. I call it Bell's. We have 2 Bell's beers here. Hop Slam. Was Hop Slam even on the Zemergy list?
Hop Slam? No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. No,
I don't think so either.
No, I'm sure it's. No, I know it's not. I don't.
It was.
Oh yeah, it was on there. As a matter of fact, I remember it. Yeah.
Now I remember.
Yeah,
it was. Hold on, I got it right here. So, the top ranked beers. So we got Two Hearted, we got Russian River, Founder's Breakfast Stout, Zombie Dust, which we will be reviewing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then Bell's Hop Slam was number 5. That's how you do it, Jake.
That was impressive, but that was also weird.
It was weird, and
it had like a double,
almost chunky.
That was my double entendre.
You double clutch that.
Maybe, Chad, what we should do is go down this top 10 list.
Oh, go down.
Review these sometime. Anyway,
I like going down.
Yeah. So, shut up, Jake. Two Hearted. Man, more food. What the heck? Two Hearted was number 1. Hop Slam was number 5. So I'm just saying.
What is this?
It's really good.
Well, it's a snack. Yeah.
Shut up and eat it.
We're trying to keep our energy up for.
What? It's a snack. So
just put it in your mouth.
The other day.
Well, for those not watching, my wife, she's amazing. We've been pretty much podcasting all day, and she's been
keeping us
trying to fatten us up.
Yeah,
apparently,
keeping our bellies full.
She walked in here with a huge thing of guacamole, and now we have another snack. So go ahead, Chad.
Oh well, her saying it, or you guys saying it's a snack. Whoever said it's a snack. Right? The other day at work, I had a guy, our shipping guy, send me a tracking number for FedEx, and I'm like, I'm not expecting anything. So I'm like, what is this? What's on its way to me? And his response was, it's a box.
Is my dick in the box? That's what I would have told you.
That's a small box.
Step 1. Cut a hole in the box.
It's
To put your junk in that box.
all right. We are so digressing.
That's the way you do it.
All right. Well, I think we are done with this IPA fiasco. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to move on to.
Chad, are you disappointed? Are you?
Well, I'm not disappointed. I mean,
What's the opposite? Are you pointed? No, never mind.
it's it's a good beer. It's not. I just texted my friend Mike, who gave it to us. In fact, he texts me back right now. It's good, but not the king of IPAs like it's a lot of times proclaimed to be. To me.
But I would say neither of these are the king.
No.
You know? I wouldn't.
So do you, not to go into our top 10 5.0s or whatever, but do you guys right off the top you have a favorite IPA?
Yeah, right now it would be the Hop Slam right now.
The Hop Slam. Chad?
Say that one more time.
Like right off the top of your head, if I say favorite IPA.
Oh, Titletown Green 19.
Okay, so you know.
He's always said that.
You know. You got one.
I haven't had that one. But.
Yep.
Okay.
And you're going with Pliny though as your favorite?
No, my favorite right now, which
Antihero.
I understand it's not hard to get, is Antihero.
Well, but again, it doesn't. I don't think it has to be hard to get at all.
I know, but I mean, hey, you know what? Yeah.
I mean, again, I think we're seeing right here the mystique of the beer.
It's been a mystique day, you know.
Well, yes, but the mystique of this beer is just.
And we're not done yet.
We're not done. We got actually 2 more to go. It's just not living up to the hype. But I think more to me, more poignant is that neither of these two, in my opinion, live up to the number 1 rating that they've been billed. But again, that also goes to show the difference, how different palates are in beer. You know, your favorite IPA, I may not like at all. I think that's shit. You know, I mean, just like Jake loves Coors Light.
Such an asshole.
That's his base beer to rate everything on. We don't feel that way.
If it's a hot day and I'm outside,
nobody cares.
Moving around, and I need to suck down like 6 beers.
You're sucking
Coors
more
Light.
than just beers. Nobody cares really at this point.
It's still not worth it.
It's just out there. It's out there. Coors Light and Jake.
That's fine. Hey, Coors Light, hit me up.
You're not Sam though. Sam's the king of Coors.
Yeah, at least when I come over and it's like, New Year's, I'm like, yeah, let's have a Gentleman Jack or let's have this, that, or the other. I'm not like, can I have a Coors Light? Which I still like you, Coors. Hit me up.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for listening.
I'm chewing right next to the microphone.
I know. Don't worry about it. I'm not editing that out either. So if you're hearing crunching, that's Chad being completely inconsiderate and rude.
Such a dick.
He is. If you want to find us, beaterdaps.com, scroll down to the bottom. There's the links to everything: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Jake, we've never even told anybody, because I don't know if anybody really cares, but Jake, where can anybody find you on the inner tubes?
They don't care.
Do you want people to find you on the inner tubes?
No.
Then don't say a word.
No. This is all you get. Eat it up.
And we just lost 10 people.
No, we lost them when I joined earlier.
So, like we said last episode, we did CBS. Be sure you go check that out. A very good whale of a beer. I think we all are very sad that bottle is empty.
I'm still crying over it.
But in that episode, the last episode that was still weak. The last episode we did compare CBS to KBS, so check that out. Upcoming episodes, we are going to be moving on to Goose Island, Bourbon County.
A couple of different.
We have the original 2017, and we have the rye variation of that. We will be comparing that. You done yet?
Sorry about that. That's louder than my burp. I should sneeze into the mic. Hey, my bro just texted me. He's out there in Grand Rapids. He's at a place. He says a little beer and empanada, and it's Creston Brewery. So never been there, but he says he's going to take me there next time I'm in GR.
All right. Thanks for that. And so
Great story.
Great story, bro. What other beers do we have coming up? We have
Three Sheeps.
that one's gonna be good.
Three Sheeps. It's a
That's
wine
barrels, right?
aged. Yeah.
Zombie Dust. We're gonna be looking
Got
at.
Zombie Dust. We got a variety from a couple of Wisconsin or Green Bay specific breweries that I brought. From Stillmank and Badger State.
Yeah, so we got a lot of good beers coming up. If anybody has any suggestion for beers, of course, you can always hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, or email. If you ever really
Coors Light?
No, we are going to do a Coors Light. We're going to
That will happen.
We decide to do the shitty beer episode.
Yeah, that'll be the Coors Light one. Don't worry, we'll invite you.
Yeah,
for it.
That would be fun.
I can't wait for him to be like, "Oh, Coors Light, man, that's a 375."
But we can't just sit here and sip one. We just gotta go.
Oh, it's gonna be.
We gotta pound them.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be Coors, Bud Light, Miller Light, PBR,
PBR.
Stag,
Yeah, there's gonna be a whole bunch of them.
Keystone, Bush.
Yeah, Shine. Yeah,
Bush.
That'll have to be when you come down in March.
It's gonna have to be a really hot day to drink all that shit. We might need to wait a little bit longer.
Speaking of, the bathroom the next day is going to be paying the price for that crappy ass beer right there. So yeah, you got that to look forward to.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening. We got a lot of great beers coming up. We got some apparently shitty beers coming up too. So
Maybe.
Jake,
Shitty beer.
thanks for joining us once
Thanks for
again.
coming by, Jake.
Thanks, guys. Sorry I was late. I was at home practicing burping.
And you failed at that. Getting his neck tattoo on.
Get my neck tats.
All right, guys, we're out.
Later, everybody.
Peace.
Hey, give me one of those famous giant beers I heard so much about.
Something wrong, Yank?
No, it's pretty big, I guess.